What are you afraid of? So that is the question. That question is serving as the theme for our season of Lent as we strive to get rid of all of the obstacles that interfere with our relationship with God. And one of those obstacles, the main obstacle, is always some sort of fear or anxiety, isn't it? At our Ash Wednesday service, we had people offer up prayers for those things they wanted to overcome. And many of those were this fear of not being enough, the fear of loss of control, the frustration, the need for patience, the need to remove obstacles in relationships. So we deal with this today in the context of our scripture passages, which have to do with temptation, right? The sort of the original sin of the Garden of Eden, and then this parallel story of Jesus being tempted by the devil. So we'll consider this relationship between fear, the things we fear, and how it affects us in the times when we feel tempted as it relates to these passages of Scripture. So I'm going to illustrate for you with sort of a modern day parable based on the story about Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. And there are two characters in my parable. I'm going to play both of them, so we'll just make them both women, because why not, right? So there are two characters. The first is a church planter, which is what they call someone these days who's sent maybe into a new community or community that doesn't already have a church of that denomination, and they go to start a new church there. So let's say this church planter has come to a new town, and she goes about the business of sort of learning the lay of the land, getting to know the community, seeing how things are laid out. And she's standing there out in an empty lot that's for sale out there by the strip mall, kind of near where a new school is going to be built. And she's looking at the site, thinking about whether this might be a good place for the new church building. And that's when the second character shows up. Always the first person that arrives on the scene when a church planter comes to town is the church consultant. Very knowledgeable, very beguiling salesperson, seemingly in the know about what it takes to create a successful church. And she sells it all with a very sultry and alluring voice. So the consultant begins to pitch some ideas to the church planter. Oh, listen to me, Pastor. I know exactly what you need to build a successful church here in this town. See, the space over here, this is where you need to put your food court. You'll have a Starbucks here right next to the Sweetwater Donuts, the sugar, caffeine. We can't resist that. And how about a place with some chicken wings? Because, imagine that aroma wafting in while you're doing your service of worship. Who could resist? Everyone will want to stay and hang around after church. And maybe a pizza place there next to where you'll have the play pit for the kids. Can you just see it? But the planter thinks for a minute and says, wow, I don't know, that's going to cost a ton of money. What about just a simpler shelter house instead? Someplace where we could offer a community meal to the poor. Something simple like soup and bread. Now, Pastor, says the sly consultant, you know the old saying, one cannot live by bread alone. And then she reaches into her pocket and hands the pastor a non-fat mocha almond cinnamon latte. Then the consultant directs the pastor's eyes to another part of the prospective church. She says, now here's where we're going to build the stage. The sanctuary, right? It's going to be fully state-of-the-art, a message delivery system like you've never seen. All the bells and whistles, state-of-the-art sound system for the band, video screens, laser lights, 3 stories high. So here's what we'll do for your first worship service. You'll climb to the cross on the highest balcony, and you'll throw yourself down. Don't worry. You'll be perfectly safe. We'll have you all set up. We actually did this one not too long ago. Can you show us the picture? Yeah, see, it's totally safe, looks great. You're sure to dazzle the crowd. Okay, we can make her go away. So the pastor, who by now is becoming a little giddy from the latte, considered this for a moment. That would certainly get everyone's attention, right? I don't know, though. It just seems a little off from what I came here to do. I mean, it was something about feeding sheep and tending to lambs and lifting up the poor, and the pastor looks around and finds her pocket Bible, her little New Testament, and she begins to thumb through the Gospel of Matthew looking for those passages of Scripture. About that book, Pastor, the consultant began, you have to be careful with that book. See, that book could make you want to preach some unpopular messages. You need to shy away from the parts that might be too political or too challenging or too depressing. I mean, come on, that whole Ash Wednesday thing, what was that about, you know? You should probably skip over the parts that make people feel like they have to, you know, be better or do things differently or live differently from the rest of the world. I mean, it's just not what the people want to hear, you know. But if you listen to me, if you trust me, I'll tell you exactly what to say. I know what the people want to hear. Listen to me, do what I say, and I promise you will not fail. And that, my friends, is what the test of being tempted to succeed looks like to every pastor, everywhere, every single day. You want to know how that church planter responded, right? So do I. So do I.